The sound of Helena's shoes striking the hospital floor echoed like gunshots in the empty corridor. Monitors beeped behind closed doors. A stretcher rushed past in the opposite direction. The night smelled of antiseptic and rain-soaked concrete drifting in through the emergency bay. Her phone was still warm in her hand from the call that had shattered her life. "Your husband has been brought in for emergency surgery," the voice had said. "You need to come now." Now she was here, heart pounding, breath ragged, fear driving every step. She turned into the surgical wing just as a young nurse stepped out of a supply room. The nurse's face drained of color when she saw Helena. "Dr. Brooks?" The nurse whispered urgently. Double quotes, "Yes. Where's my husband?" Helena demanded. "They said he was critical." The nurse grabbed her arm and pulled her into the narrow shadow between two storage carts. Her grip trembled. "You have to hide," she whispered. "It's a trap." Helena stared at her, stunned. "What are you talking about? I saw your husband walk in here hours ago. He was fine, laughing. There's no accident." "Something is wrong." The nurse's eyes filled with fear. "They told me to call you. I think they set you up." Before Helena could respond, a familiar voice echoed down the hall, calm, confident, cruel in its normalcy. "Let's prep for closing," her husband said. Sound of his voice rooted her to the floor. He was supposed to be dying, against every instinct. Helena stepped toward the sound. She reached the observation glass of the operating room and froze. Her husband, Dr. Cameron Brooks, stood at the operating table, not as a patient, but as the surgeon. His hands were steady, his posture relaxed. Beside him stood a woman in surgical scrubs, close enough that their shoulders brushed. Simone, his colleague. His favorite topic of casual conversation. "They bought it," Simone said softly. The call worked. Helena's stomach dropped. "Of course it did," Cameron replied. "Helena always runs when she thinks someone needs saving." The words struck deeper than knives. Through the glass, Helena watched as they finished the surgery with routine precision. A successful operation performed while casually plotting her destruction. When they stepped back from the table, Simone leaned close to Cameron in a way that had nothing to do with medicine. "Once she's declared unstable, everything transfers," Simone said. "The research account, the inheritance, the house, and the marriage ends with her reputation in ruins," Cameron added calmly. Helena's ears rang. Her world tilted. "They'll believe it," Simone continued. "You've documented her stress. Late nights. Emotional strain. By the time she realizes what happened, she thinks she imagined this entire emergency." Helena stumbled silently backward, her breath shaking. The young nurse reappeared at the end of the hall, terror on her face. "They're framing me," Helena whispered. "Yes," the nurse said. "And if they see you here, they'll know the trap failed." For the first time, Helena did not run toward danger. She ran from a dot as she slipped into the stairwell and disappeared into the shadows. One truth burned through her fear with terrifying clarity. The man she loved was no longer her husband. He was her enemy. And the war for her life had already begun. Helena did not go home. She drove through the sleeping city with shaking hands, headlights cutting tunnels through the dark. Every red light felt like a countdown. Every shadow in her rearview mirror felt like pursuit. By the time she reached a lonely cafe near the courthouse, dawn was just beginning to bruise the sky. She sat with untouched coffee and opened her banking app. One account after another. Lock. Transfer. Requests she had never made. Password reset attempt she did not recognize. Her life was already being quietly dismantled. Her phone vibrated. A text from Cameron. Made it through surgery safely. Long night. Miss you. She stared at the message until the words blurred. he was already rewriting reality. By noon, Helena was sitting across from a fierce woman in a gray suit named Rachel, a family attorney with sharp eyes and sharper instincts. "You're not dealing with betrayal," Rachel said after hearing everything. "You're dealing with a coordinated financial and psychological attack. And you're lucky you discovered it before the final move." "What was the final move?" Helena asked. "Declaring you mentally unfit, gaining control of your inheritance, draining every asset in your name, then disappearing." The words felt unreal. "And my career?" Helena asked quietly. Rachel exhaled. "Collateral damage." Helena closed her eyes. The conflict was no longer emotional. It was survival. For days, Helena lived a double life. By morning, she was the respected neurologist saving lives, reviewing charts and teaching residents with steady hands. By night, she was a woman at war, compiling evidence, tracking digital footprints, rebuilding her financial defenses. From the ground up, she discovered credit cards opened in her name, loans she never approved, jewelry missing from her grandmother's collection. Every discovery felt like another theft of memory, another violation of her life. Worse than the money was the realization that her love had been used as a weapon. Cameron's tender words replayed in her mind with venom now behind them. Each "I love you" had been an investment. Each kiss had been strategy. And through it all, she had to pretend she knew nothing. She returned home 3 days later, smiling at him through clenched teeth, played the dutiful wife, ate the meals he cooked, listened as he casually spoke of the future he planned to steal from her. At night, she recorded everything, every lie. Every careless admission. Every moment he revealed his true arrogance. Sleep became impossible. Trust became impossible. All that remained was endurance. The inheritance transferred on a cold, clear Wednesday morning. Helena stood alone in her office when the notification appeared on her phone. The money was now fully secure beyond Cameron's reach. The trap had failed. Rachel was already moving. The medical board had its evidence. The police had its warrants. And Helena finally allowed herself one steady breath. By mid-morning, Cameron was summoned to the hospital under the pretense of a routine inquiry. He walked into the conference room confident. He walked into his own ruin. Helena entered last. Their eyes met across the table. Shock cracked his mask. "What is this?" he demanded. "This," Helena said calmly, placing the files before him, "is the truth. The affair. The fraud, the forged documents, the attempt to have her declared incompetent. Each revelation landed like a blow. By the time the detective spoke, Cameron was pale and shaking. His license was suspended, his accounts frozen. His lies exposed. The trap he laid for her had snapped shut on him instead. Even after everything, Helena did not scream. She did not gloat. She stood straight and spoke with quiet, devastating clarity. "You used my love as currency," she said. "You gambled with my life. And today, that ends." Police escorted Cameron from the building as colleagues looked on in stunned silence. When the doors closed behind him, Helena's knees nearly gave way, but she did not fall. The courage she had summoned at the worst hour did not leave her now. That afternoon, Helena moved into a secure apartment under protection. She packed her life into boxes with hands that no longer shook. She left behind the house, the wedding photos, the illusions. What she carried with her was something stronger than rage. She carried truth. In the quiet days that followed, the world reacted. News spread. Whispers followed her through hospital halls. Some people offered sympathy. Others avoided her entirely. And for the first time in weeks, Helena sat alone in silence and allowed herself to feel the full weight of what she had lost. The marriage. The years. The person she believed she had married. Grief did not move like a storm. It came in waves, but so did clarity. Helena realized she had not been weak. She had been trusting. And trust, once broken, does not mean it was foolish to give. It only means it was abused. Cameron's trial never reached a courtroom. The evidence was overwhelming. The plea was swift. He lost his license. His reputation, his freedom. The money was returned. The stolen jewelry recovered. The manipulations laid bare. One night, months later, Helena stood at the edge of her apartment balcony, watching the city breathe. Beneath her. She did not feel victorious. She felt released. Forgiveness did not come as a gesture toward him. It came inward. She forgave herself for loving. For trusting. For believing. And in doing so, she reclaimed what he had tried hardest to destroy, her future. A year later, Helena stood in a bright operating room, guiding a new team through a groundbreaking procedure. Her research had saved dozens of patients. Her career had not been ruined. It had risen. After surgery, she stepped into the hallway where a young nurse waited nervously. "Dr. Brooks," the nurse said, "I wanted to thank you. My sister was in the trial program. She's walking again." Helena smiled, emotion tightening her throat. As she walked through the hospital, the echoes of that terrible night no longer haunted her. They had become reminders of the moment she chose truth over fear. Cameron had built a trap with lies. Helena had escaped with courage. And in the end, the greatest victory was not revenge. It was reclaiming her life. Moral: evil often hides behind affection and authority, but truth has a stubborn way of surfacing. When courage stands its ground, even the most carefully laid trap will eventually collapse on the one who built it.